Hi. I'm very well rested because I went to bed at 7 p.m. last night, like I did the night before. And the reason I did this, it's very rare for me, the reason I did this is because I am trying to be a little bit more sober this year. The last few years have been really tricky. And sobriety has not been at the top of the list. It's still not fully at the top of the list, if I'm being completely honest. But I live in a world now in which it is far too easy to need to escape. And we need to be slightly more sober if we need to or we want to achieve anything. Even happiness in our own lives, right? The reason I'm making a video about this is because I think that we're kind of living in a really insulated world in a way that really doesn't want us talking about this. Like it doesn't want us talking about addiction. It doesn't want us talking about dependency. It doesn't want us having conversations. It wants us to be ashamed, right? I'm not ashamed. And I invite you to also not be ashamed of what it is you've had to do in order to survive, or to cope, to be coping. That's not, I think the word coping becomes like a real dirty word, but when you're surviving, coping's all you got, and it's a way for us to be kind of on our own side when there's so much that feels like it's not on our side, right? When we have no control, when we're not in any kind of position to change, especially world events, and we're witnessing world events all the time, I've been smoking weed since I was 14, on and off. I'm legally prescribed now, which doesn't make me any less of an addict. It doesn't make me any less dependent. And so I want to have conversations about this with people. We all got shit. We're all depending on something. We're all doing something that that helps us get through, And some of us, like me, it can get a bit too much, and we can do it a bit too much, and we can be too consumed by it. But the truth is this, that I haven't had anyone else to be there for me. And when I think about things like smoking cigarettes and smoking marijuana, my whole life has been a way to kind of recognize that that's been one of my only friends. One of the only things that has been there for me, or that I've invited into one of the most personal spheres of my life, which is my current need, my current dependence. Currently that I need to deal with the anxiety or the depression or boredom, because that's another one. Like, we really don't talk about how the relationship between boredom and addiction very much, especially amongst neurodivergent folks, that we're kind of living in a world that doesn't really want us participating in a way that would be in alignment with who we are and what feels comfortable for us. And so therefore we really become reliant on the cushion. A lot of people talk about this, and I think it's one of the best metaphors to think about when it comes to like dependency and what we've become dependent on. I think this idea that the substances or the things that we put between us, the things that we need, that we put between us and others, or put between us and our anxiety or our own mind or things like that, that for a lot of us, they've been our only friends. And for especially a lot of us who haven't had like explosive addictions. I say explosive addictions, I mean ones that are that affect not just the sphere of our lives, but the sphere of everyone around us. Because I've also been the sphere for somebody else's drug addiction. I learned to be very quiet about mine, and I learned to be very private about it, and I learned to function side by side with that thing, because I assumed that the problem was the breakdown. I assumed the problem was the explosive impact that hit me when I was young with my sister who had drug addictions. Not even considering that I had my own. But because mine were, they didn't impact the whole sphere of the house, they didn't impact and they don't impact the whole other people's lives in the same way that, when I've experienced other people's addiction, that it's impacted my life. So because of that, I learnt to just be very quiet and very silent about my usage and about how much I depend on substance, and I just think it's bullshit. Like, I think it's really bullshit. There are so many of us who are just functioning out here barely sober, or learning to become sober on substance. Like, that's another thing that I think a lot of people don't talk about, is like, after a while, when you are reliant on a substance, it no longer affects you the same way. Like, people are amazed to find out that I'm stoned when I'm stoned, because I just sound exactly the same as I do now. Because it becomes an internalized cushion. I've got such a tolerance to this substance because it has been one of my best friends for such a long time. It's in such close proximity to me all the time that I have weathered, inside of my body, I have weathered its effects down to what it is that it gives me, which is that cushion. It's not always a really obvious cushion either. Like, that's part of the reason why you end up smoking more, doing more drugs, having another drink. And I realized that for myself, if you keep hiding something from everyone around you, there's no one there to notice when you struggle. And I've become very proficient in my life at shielding myself from the shame of other people knowing my business. I mean, joke's on me, right? Like, it was my shame I was protecting, not other people's judgment. And when I actually started to talk to people about my dependencies, just as though they were a normal part of my life, because they are, they're not dangerous in terms of how I use. It's not dangerous the amount that I use, all of that sort of stuff. All of it is very controlled. It is basically me just getting up and having a Xanax every day, except not, you know what I mean? Like, there is a conversation we're missing when we don't just talk like people about the things that we struggle with. Like, I don't have an answer. All I have is my lack of shame now. All I have is the hope that someone else goes, oh yeah, maybe I should mention this to somebody. Like, maybe I should just have this conversation. Maybe it's actually not a big deal, and other people could know about it. Because shame is what kills us. Shame is what kills so many of us. And I hope that we can just have like regular conversations about this, like I hope that we can go forward in our lives and just have regular conversations about the things that we do day to day, because there's only so much isolation you need in order to convince yourself of something, like you're your own echo chamber. So if you have voices inside of your mind that tell you that maybe you're not worth as much as other people. Maybe your story isn't worth as much as other people's stories. Maybe, who you are, by the way you act, is selfish. Maybe there are so many ways that I have convinced myself that nothing should leave here, that everything has to exist up here. This is only so big up here, by the way. Like, it fills up the rest of you by the time that you like gagged yourself trying not to talk about what it feels like to live inside of yourself. Like, it doesn't take long before that message to be completely polluted. You need external input on that stuff. And sometimes it's just knowing that other people around you are also doing the same thing. They're all just like coping, or that we're trying our best to figure out what coping means for us, We're all addicted to something. We're all dependent on something. Let's talk about it. Why is it good for you? Why is it good for me? Why, I'll tell you one thing. Weed takes the edge off. It feels like a cushion between me and the rest of the world. I'm gonna just say it. I'm sensitive. Like, I'm an extremely sensitive person. I'm extremely sensitive. I need, or have felt as though I have needed in my life a barrier between me and the real world. And I feel like I could make up a million other small little reasons that would paint that picture.
If you need anything, I go shopping.
No, thank you. That's my daddy. And I'm very honest with my daddy as well about my drug addiction. We have seen drug addiction in this house. My parents have seen drug addiction at its extreme. So now, as a 33-year-old, I am 100% honest with my folks about my usage, about the drugs that I take, about the drugs I have taken, about the effects it's had on me, and that I'm not necessarily planning to stop. I'm honest with them in that way because I can be, because it's not detrimental like it used to be when I was younger. If I had tried to say this to them when my sister was going through her shit, there's just absolutely no way it would have gone down the way it did. But I'm at a point in my life where I'm an adult, and I kind of can't afford to not be honest with the people around me about who else is with me. Like, what buddies am I bringing around with me? If I'm going over to come and visit your house, that it's not, I'm bringing my girlfriend, MJ, it's an awareness thing. It is a safety net. It is a safety net to your well-being as much as it is to your community. But trust me when I say you will be doing your community a favor by allowing them to know what's going on with you. You're not a burden on your community. You're not a burden on your loved ones and things like that. You're not. Just being honest about where you're at, it makes a huge difference. Obviously, pick your battles, don't be honest where it's not going to be received. Find the places at which you are likely to succeed in community. Tell those people. Describe how you feel to those people. Tell them what it takes for you to get up each day. Tell them what it takes for you to go to bed each night. Because it's not just representation. Like, I'm not just making this and saying this because I feel like other people can relate to it and that maybe they need to see someone talking about it really openly. But because I do. Because it's actually just really important for me to be seen for who I am in my community. And that includes a little weird stoner sometimes. It means that I am somebody who, if you call me at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday, I might not be able to take you to hospital. You know that. That's not true. I will fucking bring it together. I will get my shit together. If you need to go to hospital, I'm gonna get you there. But my point being that I am being honest about who I am, and therefore I'm making a safer community for everyone around me by being in my own awareness and by being in the capacity to share that with other people. I have been around closed systems like a family unit. A lot of us have lived in those closed systems, especially when you have things like religion mixed up in that. It becomes an even more closed system, and it helps no one, because the more closed a system is, the more insulated a system is, including me and my own addictions, just being honest here. The more insulated a system is, the more likely that thing goes to self-destruction. There aren't avenues for that thing to seek help. There aren't avenues, there aren't ladders down there. You've only got shovels. You know what I mean? Like, if you dig in the hole, you're not bringing the ladder down with you. When you have access to community, community goes and checks on the hole. Do you know what I mean? Like, they might be able to bring you a ladder sometimes. They're not always going to be able to do that. They might just be able to throw a sandwich down the hole for you. You know, like, it is an awareness so that they also don't step down that hole and accidentally take on more with you than they can, that they are emotionally capable of. In the same way that I won't date anyone. Well, I mean, I won't date anyone anymore right now anyway, but that I would never date anyone who didn't know that about me, who didn't know that I am like a very long-term smoker, very, very long-term stoner. I don't think that there's any value in hiding that part of myself from anyone because I'm lying. I don't like to lie to people. Apparently I only like to lie to myself, and this is a way for me to not do that as well. So yeah, I guess the whole point of this rant is we all got shit. You know, like, we all got needs, we've all got dependencies, we've all got secrets we think that no one else experiences too. We've all got our internal battles we don't think other people are experiencing. And true, they might not be experiencing it the exact same way as you, but how could you know that unless we start to bring this stuff out into the open and compare it? So cheers from your local little stoner slut, and I love you very much, and I hope that me sharing this is as much of a burden off for me as it is for you, or that you can go into your life and you can feel just a little bit seen for who you are or what it is that you do without feeling that judgment, because I don't judge you, because I won't judge me, and I won't let you judge me. Maybe that's part of why I do what I do as well, why I'm so open about things, is because I am terrified of people judging me, of formulating their own opinion without having all of the information. That could be selfish, it could be selfful, and that maybe I have to think about that as more of a community role than anything else, is to just be honest about the things that maybe other people might struggle to say. So, love ya. And go have a chuff if you need to. And, or don't. Go to bed at 7 p.m. if you want to remain sober. Just a thought. We all have our battles. There's no one right way to work this out. But just know that you're not alone. Know that you're not the only person who maybe covertly feels as though they might have a problem, or has maybe been afraid to tell people that they have addictive problems, you know, or dependency problems. So just want you to know you're human. Just want you to know you're like the rest of us. There is literally nothing wrong with you. And I hope you have someone in your life that you can be really honest with. And that you experience a lack of judgment in that interaction. I pray for you. I love you. Go forth. Be human.